Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Sunday, July the 31st at this time. Another hot Texas day, but we'll try to get through it in the air conditioning as best we can. I had a subscriber to my page, or my channel rather, that asked me to do a comparison between inexpensive acoustic guitars versus expensive acoustic guitars. This is not really a challenge between guitars. It's just to kind of let you know what you can get for your money, and to let you know that you don't always have to spend a lot of money to get a really great sound. For me, when I'm doing like a single act with my acoustic guitar, I finger pick and I do some instrumentals to try to save my voice, because some of these jobs can be 3 hours long or more. So I do some instrumentals, and I want a guitar that has a really big sound. Some guitars that you buy may cost a lot of money, but they won't give you that big sound that you want, because the electronics are just not designed in a way to do so. Doesn't mean they're bad, it just means that they're just not really meant for what I would call a really high quality stage performance. So you have to kind of be careful about that. But one thing I do want to show you, this guitar that I'm about to show you is a Yamaha. It is I have to look because I forget the model number. It's an FG340, and it has a Roman numeral 2 behind it. This guitar was made in the 70s and up into the early 80s. I believe this is I looked at the serial number once, and it's kind of in the mid 70s. It is actually, let me show you this. It is a laminate. It's supposed to, show rosewood is what it's supposed to be, and it is supposed to carbon copy a Martin D35. How they got away with it in those days, I don't know, but they did. And maybe they had something worked out with Martin, I don't know. Who knows? Who cares, really? But it does have a nice spruce top on it. And the only thing I really did to it was I put ebony bridge pins on it, and I just kind of left it the way it was, kind of adjusted the bridge height. I've got it down as far as it'll go. This guitar has no electronics, but as you can see, the top is still ringing. Now, one of these sites that I saw on YouTube said that 80% of the sound comes from the top. That may be, I don't know. I don't know where they get their specs, but I do know that guitar sounds good, and that's all I care about. The other thing is, I'm going to show you this guitar here. This is on the upper end. Probably that Yamaha new was probably less than $200. This is a Martin OM28E. It is a upper end guitar. New, this guitar runs about $3,600. Minus a penny, and it is a very good sounding guitar. I love it. I think it's wonderful. The only thing that I probably would not have done is I would not have bought it with electronics. And depending on who you are, there's this ongoing battle that will probably rage on for centuries, whether rosewood is better or whether mahogany is better. But this has a rosewood back and sides. It's beautiful. A Sitka spruce top. Has a torrefied top, meaning that they aged it some way through all these really cool methods with heat and and pressurization and dryness and all that stuff. I don't know, I don't care. I just care if it sounds good. And this guitar does. Now I'll tell you where it's lacking is in the electronics. You'll spend about $400 for the upgrade on these electronics. I would advise you not to do that. I bought it with electronics because I thought maybe I will play it in a gig somewhere, and the truth is this guitar will probably never see the light of day. You sure as heck don't want to go out and play outside jobs in the state of Texas with a guitar like this. You know, first time you take it out of a nice air conditioning truck and you set it up on stage and open that case, it's going to sound like bacon. And that's because everything in here is going to checker on this top. And so you need to be aware of that too when you buy a high-end guitar, that they do require special care when it comes to leaving them in vehicles where it's extremely cold and bringing them into the heat, or vice versa. The finish on these and the guitar itself is not meant to take that sort of stress. So you need to know that when you're playing with an upper end guitar. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug it into my Roland Street EX Cube, and I've got everything flat. I've got everything turned up as high as it will go on the guitar. The reason I say, by the way, not to buy it with electronics is because I can't get a big sound out of this guitar. I need something with a sound hole cover to do that. Now there are several good sound engineers that will tell you, oh yes, it can be done. Yeah, if you're playing a job or you have a sound engineer working the board, sure, it can be. Most of us don't have that luxury, and so you have to have something that's going to give you a big sound from beginning to end. And I can't do it with the controls on the inside of the guitar. I need something on the outside, and I need a feedback buster here. If I've got to buy pedals to do what I need for this guitar to do, I'm not going to buy it with the electronics, because you should be able to buy a guitar with the electronics and play straight out into whatever you're going into, mixer or amplifier. I know I do it all the time. I know guys who do it all the time, and they don't require any special pedals. This would probably need that. But here it is. It sounds very good. It's just weak when it comes to electronics. That sounds beautiful. I mean, it really does. But if you get any volume out of it, you're going to have that low mid-range feedback, which just really does not work for that. But you want a good guitar to sit around at home, play and write songs with. This is it. This is a high quality guitar, and it is well worth the money, just not the electronics. Now we'll go from that end of the spectrum to the opposite direction, and I'm going to play for you an Ibanez Tallman that brand new costs $200. This is it right here. I bought this used at Guitar Center, sorry for the lights, for $125. I needed a backup guitar because mine was going in the shop and I didn't have one, and I had a gig that I had to play, and I needed something cheap that I didn't care if I sweat all over, and you know, and then I didn't care if it was 100-degree heat, just something that would play. Well, lo and behold, I bought this guitar and I was blown away, because I immediately plugged it in, and man, it was strong. You don't need a preamp or nothing for this. Listen to this. It may be a little out of tune, but off of it. It has a great big sound, and it's really nice. I mean, the electronics are right there on the top. You can put a feedback buster in the hole, but this guitar you probably wouldn't need to, because it is so you know, it's just so not deep. You know, it's just only what, maybe 3.5, 4 inches for here. So I mean, you want a guitar for a backup guitar to go out and play on a gig, or not necessarily even a backup guitar. This guitar will play any job anywhere. I've done it, and sounds good doing so. So the guitar that I normally use though when I go play a gig is I use a 97 Taylor 412 CE that they don't even make anymore. It's mahogany back and sides, which mahogany is my favorite. I like the sound of mahogany. This does have the sound hole cover in it, and I like it because I can get a big sound with it. Has the Fishman Electronics right there on the outside. Nothing fancy. Piezo pickup. What did I do with my strap? Oh, still got it right here. A piezo pickup, and to me, you know, most piezo pickups are going to sound the same. You know, there's not a whole lot of variance in them. You know, it's and a good sound man, or your ears, if you're running the sound, will make all the difference in the world. You just adjust the treble and bass and go on. I tend to stay away with things have notch filters on them, like pedals that have notch filters, because if you're having a feedback problem and you're using a notch filter, chances are the frequency you're taking out is the frequency you need for the guitar to sound good. So just put a feedback buster on it and be done with it. And if your electronics are on the inside, that's not a guitar you probably need to be playing with live. That's my opinion, but that's how I feel about it. There you go, Sitka spruce top. You know, it's a good gigging guitar. Paid $900 for this guitar through Guitar Center. They were selling it so cheap because it had scars. Well, most guitar players who go and play for a living, the very first thing they're going to do is put scars and scratches on it. And I don't care who you are, I'd rather play a guitar that has got scars and scratches because it's already been broke in. But the best find that I have found so far actually came from Yamaha Corporation. And this is where the topic of romance versus sound comes into play. What I mean by romance is if you're a guy or a lady who just thinks that you have to have a Martin or a Gibson or a Fender or a Taylor, if you just have to have a brand name so that you say you've got a good guitar, then you're not really doing yourself any favors, because there are other brands that do it just as well for less money, using the same components. This is one of them. This is the Yamaha FSX5. This came out in 2019, and this came out to commemorate Yamaha's being in business since '66. As you can probably see right there on the bell cover for the truss rod. This is also mahogany back and sides, solid Sitka spruce top with a wooden pick guard. Uses what is called Yamaha's Electronics, which is called, this is the atmosphere electronics. Now the difference between it does have a microphone built into it. Not every guitar is really, it's not really necessary to have that to have a really good sound on stage. I do like it, but I use it minimally just for tone, because if you use the microphone too much, and this is true of any guitar that has a microphone inside of it, the more of that microphone you use, the muddier it's going to get. You just want enough to give it a little bit more of that hollow acoustic sound. That's really all you're going for. You're not trying to make the guitar louder, and if you're thinking you're going to get more highs out of using a microphone, you're really wrong, because it don't work that way. Think about where the microphone sits. It sits inside of a hollow shell, and all it's doing is picking up all of those vibrations and sound coming around it. So it's going to sound hollow inside, and you know, more like a dreadnought guitar is what it's going to say. So the more of the mic you use, the more treble you're going to have to add either to your mixer or your amplifier. But these are some of the things you need to know when you go out shopping for a high-end guitar. But the worst thing you can do is associate quality with a brand name, because every single guitar is different. You can go buy a Martin OM28E and pick out another Martin OM28E, and they're not going to sound the same. I don't care what you say. There's no way that Martin or any other manufacturer can put out the same guitar each time, because these things come from different trees, different grains. You know, it's a fact of nature. You know, so if a guitar doesn't speak to you, you don't need to buy it. And the way you can tell if it speaks to you is if it makes you play better, if it makes you play differently. If you just pick it up and go, huh, that sounds good. No, that it's not speaking to you. You need to pick it up and see if it makes you play cleaner. Maybe play things you've never played before, like this one did for me. Okay, now I'm going to turn on the amp, let you hear what the electronics sound like. By the way, this guitar, if you want to shop around at other orchestra models made the same way, look it up. It's the Yamaha FSX5. Check it out and check it against other manufacturers. Some of the big ones, such as Gibson, Martin, Taylor. Check out specs for spec, and you're going to find out that this guitar is going to do the same thing for about $1,100 or $1,200 less. This comes out of Japan, out of the custom shop in Japan. I can put a feedback buster in this thing, and I can get a big sound like you've never heard before. Another manufacturer, though, that I will have to say does it very well is Taylor. I like the way their new electronics work, where you've just basically got 3 controls up here, and you can put a feedback buster in there. I like what Taylor does. I love Martin. I think they make an excellent guitar, but they probably should just get out of the electronics business altogether. I know that some of their street models and so forth have the controls on the outside, but they just really don't like to cut holes anywhere in these guitars to do their electronics. But they kind of need to come forward a little bit more into the future when it comes to electronics, and they're just not there yet. But they do make an excellent guitar. But listen to this. Again, this guitar has a solid Sitka spruce top, ebony pins, ebony bridge, ebony fretboard, bone, sut, and naddle. Bone, nut, and saddle. And it's not tusk. I don't know why some of these guys are going to tusk. They say that it amplifies better with a piezo pickup. I don't see it. Anyway, it's a great sounding guitar, but there again, more money does not incorporate into a better guitar. How much you spend will not give you a better sound. What will give you a better sound is the guitar that feels right to you. And I just proved that I can take a $125 acoustic guitar and play anywhere that I want to play with that guitar, and nobody's going to care that it's an Ibanez. So keep that in mind. Don't be married to a manufacturer. Be married to the music. That is the most important part. How it sounds, not who makes it. I will never be married to a brand name, and neither should you. Just go out and buy the one that you can afford and the one that sounds best to you, and you'll be happy, as long as it's in tune. All right, well, I appreciate you sticking with me today. I know I got a little long-winded, and but there's a lot of points to be made here, and so I apologize for doing that. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to give someone the gift of music. They will appreciate you for it. Have a great day and try to stay cool. Take care.